Dig it. Hey, Foxy. Oh, Miss Foxy Brown. Oh, girl, you're cute and sweet. No, but you don't play around.
Pam Grier stars in Quentin Tarantino's latest film, Jackie Brown. A longtime fan of her work in such 70s classics as Coffee and Foxy Brown, Tarantino wrote the script with Grier specifically in mind. It is based on the 1995 Elmore Leonard novel, Rum Punch, and it will open on Christmas Day. She was also, get this, ladies and gentlemen, just nominated for a Golden Globe Award as Best Actress in a Comedy or a Musical, so we are doubly pleased to have her on this little old broadcast this evening. Welcome.
Oh,
congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, thank
hey,
you. Thank you
bad,
so
huh?
much. Thank you, Q.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Q.
you, Q.
Hey, what do you call him?
Q.
Q. Oh, man, that's not bad.
Q.
Nomination right here.
Oh, no,
As well as
fantastic.
Samuel L. Jackson.
I know.
Two actors.
And the best director right there. And the best writer right there.
What makes him? But I don't want to talk about him. We've talked about him.
man,
Let's
no.
talk about you. What was this like for you? You know, he told me the story that when he called you up and said, I got this something for you. And you said, well, I'm busy. I mean, I got a lot of stuff to do. Hey, man, you got something for me, you know, get in line. And he said, no, I got something really big for you, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was really big. And he, you know, he's a director and writer in demand, right? The biggest stores, the biggest people want him.
Right.
And he's going to tell me he's going to invest 2 years of his life to write something for me, and I'm going to believe it.
Hey.
And then he tells me again another year later, I'm going to, okay, now this has got to stop. Okay, you know, don't break my little heart. Don't, you know. And then one day he calls and he says, look, I'm going to send you something. You know, read the role of Jackie Brown. Tell me what you think. You know, okay, it doesn't come right away. And I'm like, I'm not, because it took him 2 years, and I'm just gonna sit here coolly, not, you know, I'm gonna get sleep, I'm gonna relax, and then it came, and there it is. And it's like, first I always look at the end of the script to see how many pages. Then I flip through and see how many pages I'm on. And then I go,
267.
oh, I'm going, oh, wow. And I'm like this, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Quentin Tarantino. And I start reading it. And I'm reading it. I'm looking like, now, Elmore Leonard is one of the most prolific writers. I mean, you can smell and taste and feel his characters on the page. And now they're popping out. And Quentin's style, it's like so mind-boggling. I'm going to have to read it again. And I'm just overwhelmed. I mean, by the sheer fact that someone would sit down and write something for me and have the confidence to say, here, read it. First, read it. I'm thinking, I didn't tell him. I didn't call him right away to tell him how good it was and that his style, because I was so afraid. They said, well, I just wanted you to read it and see if you liked it, and we're not going to do it, and I just wanted to see, you know, if you liked it. And I was like, oh, because I don't want to have my heart broken on something that's so good, you know. And I understand that I didn't call him right away, so Quentin was thinking I didn't like it. And he's like, oh, my God, she hasn't called. She didn't like it. And so finally my boyfriend Kevin said, I think you better call Quentin and let him know that you liked it before he cast somebody else. And I said, you know what? You're right, Kevin. Again. I called him up.
Again.
I called him up. And I tell Quentin, you know, and it's like, first I'm stumbling. I don't know how to say it from my heart, you know, the depths of my heart, my gratitude. And I tell him, I said, you did a really good job. You did really, really good. And it's your style. And it was, you know, the book is his novel and adapting it to his style, a screenplay, how you work it and everything, the characters. And that's some work. That means it's a monumental effort. And I just told him, I said, this is so great. You know, I said, I love it. He says, well, you're Jackie Brown.
Do you have, speaking of that, I mean, he sat here and talked in the conversation we did together about needing a Pam Grier for this. Didn't think of anybody else. Because of some sense of presence, command that you have. You feel that? Do you know that about yourself? I mean, that you are...
I've been informed. When I do the work...
You internalize, you know it. You know that...
I know it more now. I didn't have...
presence.
I know more now. I didn't have a real strong sense of self, and it's not that I didn't believe in myself, but I know what I do, but I learn more from the reaction that people give me, that I did the work, all the, you know, I mattered. I let other people tell me, because sometimes I really don't know what I do because I'm in the moment and I'm really not thinking of how well I did or what did I do. So other people inform me that of my presence, and I've just never really thought of that. And other people make me aware. Quentin, he's always telling me about, you have this, you do that, and I go, oh, really? Yeah. Really?
When you made all those, how many films did you make that are now called black exploitation films?
I would say about 3 or 4. It was Coffee, Foxy Brown, and Sheba. And I don't know if you include Scream Blackula, Scream, or Friday Foster. I think the black exploitation ones were meant for the amount of sexuality and action and jokes, tongue-in-cheek, you know, adult entertainment. I think just 3, really.
When those ended, when that sort of demand for those ended, what did you think about where you were going to go, and is that where you went?
Well, for me, personally and professionally, I chose not to do them anymore, because it's not that I was ashamed of them or didn't like them. I adore them. I love them because they really exemplified pop culture, African-American pop culture at that time. Right. Because the 70s really was the basic rewards for the 50s and 60s political gains. So we went crazy with music and afros and hair, and we were part of the sexual movement and the women's movement. And so I really enjoyed it, and I look upon it very favorably, and I've never been embarrassed by it, because my work, I was a novice. You know, I wasn't really well studied and well trained, but I look at them as something that exemplified and documented the culture, and it was something that I looked forward to. Just what is it going to say at the end of the day? What are people going to really think of it? I don't really know. All I know is it's about us, and it's about me. And you know, I'm the type of person I let everybody else think about, you know, what they are to them.
But Pam has a really unique place in film history, though, with the films that she did in the blaxploitation time, because they had a whole star system even set up in the black pictures. You know, Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, Jim Kelly. These were all big stars, and Pam was one of the hugest ones there was. But with Jim Brown, for instance, if people are doing an article about him, they refer to him as the black Clint Eastwood. And they could refer to Fred Williamson as the black Burt Reynolds, or Jim Kelly as the black Bruce Lee. They could never find a white, even though they bent over backwards, they could never find a white equivalent for what Pam's star was, for what she was, because there really wasn't a white action female hero star. You know, that her name was above the title. Pam Grier is Coffee. Pam Grier is Foxy Brown. That people would go and see to see her in this action role. There wasn't one like it before, and then when she stopped making them, there wasn't anybody to take her place. She really owned a spot for women in the 70s with those films that America had really never seen before or since.
And I didn't want to be redundant, because I had already said what I needed to say. And if I continued, we had already found the black audience. Right. And they're following it and becoming more astute each time they see a movie. And we're starting to lose them now, because everybody is jumping on the same formula I'm working on at American International Pictures. Now, I can see, because they're coming to me and say, why can't we do something different? Why can't we say something different? And now I feel that they're getting bored. And that's when I decided to say, you know what? I need to go to another level. I need to find out where I can go and where I can take this audience.
I want to pick that up in just a moment. Take a look at this, just in case you have not seen what we're talking about. Here is Foxy Brown.
Leave her alone, Jackie. They're friends of ours. Get over here! Get your hands off her, you guys! Get the chair!
I come from a long line of skillet throwing women, you know, so aerobics in the 70s.
Yeah. What did you do after that? You decided to take control, to go a different direction. What happened?
Well, I was growing as an actor, and you know, finding my sense of self and redefining who I was as a person. And you see a lot of that, and then you understand the political agenda. People say, why don't you do more dramatic, historical pieces? Why don't you, you know, because now I've got an audience. I've got the attention of the filmmakers, the producers behind me. And then that's what I started asking, well, what do you think about making something like those? And they said, no, let's stick to the, you know, let's sell the action, this and that. And I said, we're going to lose the audience. So by then, I was backing out of it. And whatever happened to the other filmmakers and Jim Brown and Fred, and that was, you know, their own choice. But I had to move on personally and professionally.
Do you think there's a market? I mean, I've often been amazed at what I think is out there in terms of the buying power of the African-American community. Buying power.
Right, exactly.
You know? Huge demand. Huge influence in terms of television, in terms of people who watch television, influence television. Is it being served? So to speak? I mean, do you think the movies that are being made today are responsive to what that market is?
Soul Food was made.
Yeah.
Eve's Bayou.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen, but everybody says Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, I have. It's glorious. From Julie Dash to, there's so many, you know, films that are coming. Not, well, like you said, it's the box office, the demand and who's going to pay for them. You know, there's only so much money, so much time, and so much creativity. I don't know if we're serving them en masse, but it's coming. There are more and more different, diverse films that are coming out. And you'll see from some of the plays that are coming out, they're going to be turned into films, from Fences. And I just think it's slow.
Fences is being made into a film?
Fence will be, yeah. And so it takes time, but it also is something that's not overnight. And I don't know who's controlling what, when, where, and how. But as long as they get made,
you know,
that's important.
It's very interesting. And also, Spike Lee had said something when he had done She's Gotta Have It. Because about the time when he came out with She's Gotta Have It, that was probably the longest period of time that basically black culture had really not been reflected in the Hollywood mainstream, unless you're considering Eddie Murphy. All right? Okay, with the exception of Eddie Murphy. All right? You know, for like a large chunk of the 80s. I mean, I'm even surprised that blacks went to the movies at all. I can't believe that they, you know, would go and not see themselves represented on the screen. And Spike Lee said something when he did She's Gotta Have It. He said that black audiences were getting sort of overwhelmed watching She's Gotta Have It because it had been so long since they'd seen black people kissing on screen. Think about that.
Sure.
Think about that. Never seeing your own people reflected even in a kiss on screen.
A love scene.
Yeah.
You didn't see that often, and you didn't see them very much in my films. A little later, but no, it was really rare. And they talk about that today. Not enough passionate love scenes, but in Eve's Bayou, you see it. You're seeing it more and more in Soul Food. It's just not.
Well, they did it in your movies. They did it in your movies for sure. They did it in the 70s, but there was just this period where blacks weren't being represented on screen.
In the 80s, definitely. It was a very rigid time, a very conservative time, a very Republican time, where the themes weren't about people of color. They were basically about mainstream box office dollars.
What would you like to come out of this experience in Jackie Brown? What do you hope it achieves?
Well, it has achieved quite a bit. The fact that when Quentin asked me to portray Jackie Brown, and he's going to demand a lot of me, of Pam, and my tenure on this planet, my commitment to the role, to work with him and Samuel Jackson, Robert De Niro, Michael Keaton, Bridget, and Robert Forster, and show a lot of me, reveal a lot of me that I haven't revealed and not asked to. Quentin allowed me to go certain places as an actor that no other director had required or asked, and I've achieved personally and professionally so much. And if the audience enjoys it and they feel what I've felt, and I have given depth and texture and color and pain and all kinds of emotionality of mine to Jackie, and people can feel it, and they go, yeah, I feel, Jackie, I've had those days. I've lost things. I've gained this. And they come away saying, I really enjoyed seeing that character, because there's not a lot of character-driven movies. It's usually action. You don't get to know the characters. You think they're robots. You think they're one dimension. There's a dimension, so many dimensions to Jackie. At the end of the day, all I wanted to do was a good job.
Does it cause you, knowing the reaction, to change your dreams?
Well, as far as changing my dreams of?
What you want to do and how you see your own...
Well, I've never dreamt about getting the big part. I think I've never dreamt of working with anyone, although in reality I would like to and hope I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Oh, a dream. Amazing. If it's a dream. Yeah.
I mean, you never thought about working with De Niro, for example, or...
No. And I had met him as a person outside of the business. And if you're considering, you know, like those type of dreams, to be a part of the fabric of the industry, to be another texture from, you know, not only my upbringing, my humor, living in Europe, living in America, all the different textures that people can bring to the industry. That's all, you know, I can do, and I just want them to see that I can do it well. It's not that I don't have aspirations. I do. I love writing. I have screenplays. I'd like to, you know, get off the ground. And there's people I would like to work with, but it's something that, if it didn't happen, I'd be okay. You're going to be okay. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Pam Grier stars in Jackie Brown. And thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Great to have you here.